Has the mayor election been postponed towards next year? It's a great question, Lish. There has been rumors. Our prime minister has been hinting at elections being postponed, and other members of the council here in London have been hinting about it. We believe that that is a fundamental incorrect decision when it comes to your basic human right as a democratic process, as a citizen in that process. I believe postponing elections is fundamentally wrong. We've already postponed elections here by a year. The current mayor of London technically shouldn't be in office. You never voted him in for a 5-year term, and yet he's in there right now, raising your taxes, raising your transport fares, raising your congestion charges. He's in there right now bankrupting the TfL. He's in there right now with his gold-plated pension programs, spending money on luxury flights. He's in there right now not building houses and yet taking the money from the government. Is it really acceptable that we give him even one more day in office without being held accountable to the voters? I don't think so. I don't think so. So we do not believe in postponing these elections. Make them happen, because how long? How long is it going to be? A month? 3 months? 6 months? A year? 10 years? Democracy breaks down. It shouldn't have even happened this long. So we are all against, and we'll have a petition in Parliament going live shortly to where you can sign that to make sure that our elections aren't postponed. So look, I want to finish up with this final section. I appreciate you being here. And again, please share this video if this is resonating with you. And I want to talk about this final, yet this is probably the worst part of what the current mayor of London is doing to you. And that is how the current mayor is raising your taxes to fund his incompetence and his wasted spending. And you'll see this headline here, which was posted less than a week ago, and I'll read it out to you. Sadiq Khan reveals his biggest ever hike of council tax share at nearly 10%. Now, let me read this. The article goes on to say, quote, Sadiq Khan today revealed plans to hike his share of council tax by almost 10%, the biggest increase in his time as mayor. And it goes on to say, quote, it means that many London households face a total hike of £100 or more once their local borough council increases, likely to be 5%, is also included. Think about that. 10% increase in council taxes when the economy is shrinking by 10%. And we're in our greatest recession in over 300 years. I don't know many people that have an extra £100 that they can just splash out in taxes. The way the current mayor splashes out £1 million here and £1 million for luxury flights and £1 million for a fireworks display and £1 million for his PR. That's what the London mayor does. Well, we don't have that money to spend. So no, thank you. We don't have that money. And it's not okay to increase our council rates. And here's another headline from the Evening Standard, and I'll read it out for you here. Quote, Sadiq Khan plans to increase his share of your council tax again. And everyone's reporting on this. And here's another headline as well, and I'll read it out for you as well. London tube and bus fares to rise by more than inflation. And let's talk about that right now. First of all, back in 2016, your current mayor of London campaigned on the promise to freeze your fares. And yet now he's raising your fares by more than inflation. How does that even make sense? Again, in the greatest recession in over 300 years, he's breaking his promises. He's raising your fares. He's raising them by more than inflation. And the truth is, there is even more to come. As you can see from this next headline by The Telegraph, and I'll read it out for you now. Sadiq Khan forced to hike congestion charge as a condition of the government bailout. And again, I'll read off to what he said here. And it says, I quote, the £15 congestion charge, which was increased, quote unquote, temporarily, we all remember that, from £11.50 last June, and then extended into the evenings and the weekends, can you imagine, will now remain in force until at least October, City Hall is saying. October now. How long is this going to last? Increased now to weekends, now to 24/7, now to October. And again, this is a regressive charge, which means this. The current mayor of London is hurting lower income residents worse than anyone else. He is hurting you worse than else. And it goes on to say, quote, Mr. Khan has previously admitted concerns that the regressive council tax hits lower income households hardest. You know what? Admitting concerns doesn't pay the bills, Mr. Mayor. It doesn't pay the bills. So it doesn't help us when you come out and you say you were forced to do things. It doesn't come out when you blame the prime minister. It doesn't help when you admit concerns that it hits us in our savings accounts. What it helps is when you don't do these things to us. And that's what we're calling out. But it gets even worse. And you can see this by the next headline, and I'll read it out to you. Sadiq Khan is set to introduce new London road charges in 2021, raising prices for millions. And I'll read out what this article says. Transport for London has confirmed that the current ULEX, that's the ultra-low emission extension zone, will expand from October, which will push thousands of residents into paying the heavy charges, more taxes from your mayor. It goes on to say, quote, the new plans will expand the charge to a larger zone, which will then be balanced by the North Circular and the South Circular roads. So again, even a bigger zone. The new scheme will charge drivers £12.50 per day. Do you have that money? Per day. Even in the outer London areas previously unaffected by any of these charges. This is real money. And it's going to hit us all when a lot of us don't have jobs, our savings are going down, and we see no end in sight, and the future looks bleak. And all the time that the mayor is spending that money and causing these institutions to go bankrupt, he's now asking you to pay the bills as taxpayer. I personally find this unacceptable, to raise your taxes, and we need to hold him to account right now.